Well, I think I got a couple things here. Let's see. I did slice open a chunk of it. There we are. Made things just a little bit easier. Okay, well, we can see we got 2 black boxes here. Looks like I got a Kizer and a Boker. And apparently I don't know what it is about these little patches lately, but a lot of companies and distributors have been doing it. I guess that's the drop bear for Christmas. I haven't seen it in the green handle yet. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, I also just cut myself. This dude was laying down, and I just gripped it a little bit too far up. Oops. Oh, well. At least this thing was freshly sharpened, so that was all sorts of not a problem. I'm going to use a bit of a smaller knife. A lot of Bokers end up having this, where they do have a seal sort of thing, but they have been cut open and things like that. I don't know if it has anything to do with customs or something like that. I don't know. But okay, yeah, this is the little Kwaiken Air. This one's got, well, they're still steel liners, but they're goldized and red, very fine linen micarta here. This is S35 VN. I could probably fix that action up quite a bit there. But yeah, the detent's nice and crisp on it. This is S35 VN blade steel, and in Knife Center's usual fashion, this is actually just a couple dollars cheaper than the original one in VG10, and this feels a heck of a lot more sturdy than the Urban Trapper that I got. Not quite as fancy a steel as that one's using. I don't remember if it's M390 or 20CV, but one of those guys. But still, this is a bit more substantial. I don't really feel like I could just snap this thing in half if I tried. Nice fit and finish. Boker Plus usually does a pretty good job on that. Looks, I don't necessarily know if it's the blade grind that's off or if it's just off center by itself. That's a little interesting. Looks fine up here. I don't know. It does kind of look like a blade grind might be off just a little tiny bit. Still, no rubbing or anything like that. I guess these guys are numbered. And there we go, 89. Geez, it took a long time to be able to get the light to actually focus on that. But still, yeah, it's a nice knife. I do like this a little bit more than the Urban Trapper. The full titanium version of the Urban Trapper is all right, but all of those G10 and micarta scaled things, they are very, very light duty at best. It's really not. It doesn't really do the original knife any justice, so that's unfortunate. But this one, pretty darn good. Like I said, this is the Kwaiken Air. Of course, they do have all sorts of different Kwaiken models, including a switchblade and probably a button lock, and I don't know. But I don't know, this one kind of jumped out to me, and of course the price didn't hurt whatsoever. There we go, and I got one more Kizer here. Oh yeah, okay. Took me a second to actually remember what was actually in here, and it's enormous. Yeah, this is the Sheepdog XL. Chunk. Yeah, this is Micarta steel. This is 154 cm. The reason why I didn't pull the trigger on this when they were absolutely just came out, even though these are still quite new, was I was kind of holding out to see if they would do one in a little bit different steel or something like that. This is 154 cm, but the other Sheepdog that I have is in something V. Let's see, I could probably pull it out here. Sheepdog, this is the next drawer down. Here we are. Oh, no, this was in 10V, but yeah. This is the standard one. Glad that I can get one without the whole flipper thing. That was the original design, but yeah, I really do like these flipperless versions as well. This thing is enormous, puts a smile on my face. Really nice and comfortable handle. Subtly contoured, I suppose. It's not just a flat slab, but yeah, still fairly minimal as far as that goes. The pocket clip, still nice and smooth and kind of gets out of the way. It does stick up there, but really doesn't engage with my hand whatsoever there. Super comfortable. And they have, well, I can't say blackwash because that's a Kershaw patent or a trademark name or something. But, you know, it's a blacked blade using basically titanium nitride or titanium something or other as far as a DLC process. And then they stonewash it, which, yeah, I do find that smoky kind of look quite nice. Quite nice and attractive. Yeah, that hole is interesting. It still works pretty darn well, but this thing just begs for a reverse flick. These liners are not playing around. Woo! All right. The Boker actually threw me off here because I do have another set of knives coming from the knife center, but I did get a mention that one of the knives wouldn't be released in time for Christmas, so I was going to miss that deadline, and that was a Boker in there. But I also have the Benchmade Griptilian coming with it. It'll get here, I suppose, when it gets here. But yeah, we also have a nice set of extra hardware. I always love to see that, especially if they work for the pocket clip. These ones don't, but you know, that's kind of par for the course. It's a nice to have, but it's not a requirement. But very different design language outside of pretty close on sharpened blade length there for both of those guys. This one is probably going to be a little bit nicer in the summertime, and for, you know, it's one of those CEO style or yeah, I'll call it CEO or an executive style knife, not necessarily just, you know, it's a gentleman's knife because it's red and gold. That doesn't really work out all that well for me in those kind of definitions there. But yeah, you can see I piled up a couple of knives here, and they just got back from being out in the really cold garage because I just ended up putting the standard profile on them of 17 degrees. Except for this one. This one, because it's an M390, I did to 15 degrees, but it's way too short. So I just finished it all up with the really fine belt. It's either 12,000 or 6,000 grit, or 12,000 or 18,000 grit. I don't remember which. But yeah, super nice. I do like this knife. These liners are titanium. You can remove the ironwood scales there. Looks like I just scratched it up a little bit. Hey, that's going to happen when it's in the pocket. This back piece is steel, however. And they've really rounded off the end of the tang on this guy here. So the walk and talk could probably be a heck of a lot better. But for whatever reason, it's not. Taking off these scales, though, the two titanium liners here, they have they have two little pieces that are actually holding on that back spring. And those are essentially riveted or spot welded in there. So I cannot take this thing apart at all. Or if I did, it's not going back together one single bit. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. Very, very lightweight, which is a little bit different than the Viper Hug that they do make in some titanium ones there. But alrighty, that was fun. So I guess I'll attach this to the end of it, and we'll call this the end of the episode. So as always, I appreciate y'all for watching. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, you. And subscribe. Well, I just had a couple of observations on these two little guys here, so I wanted to go ahead and throw that in there. Sheepdog XL. What is a little bit different between the mini and the standard version here? We don't have nested liners. These liners are much thicker than the other ones, and doesn't make it any less comfortable or anything like that. Just figured I'd throw that out there. These are using multi-row bearings, just like the Towser K and stuff like that, so that helps. And yeah, I think I improved the action a little bit. This guy, kind of an interesting beast on the inside here. For one, the show side here actually has the screws that hold the liners together, and then the onlays are basically just bolted on in the aftermath of all of that. So actually trying to take this apart and remove the pocket clip, remove that, and the pivot, and it's neat. And then you can't actually get the two liners off because you need to get the three screws on the other side of the show side there. Just a little weird. Something that I did notice, though, that I did change a little bit is bearings that came out of here. Steel cage, steel balls. Which, it just seems a little strange because Boker usually doesn't use steel bearings for their stuff. But I did have a set of these guys. It's actually what I got to try to replace a bearing that I lost on the Vaso from Micarta. And they weren't quite the right size, but they are absolutely identical to these. So I threw some of those in there. Hey, that brass cage actually does complement the, even though the action still not absolutely wonderful, but between me tightening up that pivot just a little tiny bit, at least the blade centering is a little bit better than it was. The little lanyard pin thing here, yeah, it shakes just like the stop pin would on some of their Kalashnikov autos. I'm actually thinking of just pulling that out just so it doesn't do that. I'm not going to use the lanyard for it, so no harm, no foul on that. But all right, yeah, I just took them apart and everything. Now I'm actually going to do the sharpness testing on those, so that'll be in the follow-up video if you end up watching that. If not, well, appreciate y'all for stopping by. Hey, I got another knife. This is not quite Christmas Eve, but the day before that I'm actually recording this. It's probably not in my best interest to date these videos because sometimes I am a really, really lazy person and don't get videos up anywhere near when I actually record them. Sometimes it's me making the thumbnails, and that takes a little bit of extra time that I need to force myself to do. And a lot of times it's the description, which, I don't know, whatever. Either way, a little beneath or under the scenes, beneath the covers, whatever you want to talk about it. It's a little white thing. It's just basically some diamond polishing or lapping films and stuff like that. I had to let them stay out and dry a bit because, the back of those are standard sticker sheets, so they're all wax coated, and basically almost nothing actually writes to them. So, yeah, it works after you do that anyway. Anyway, White Mountain Knives. Yeah, this is a knife that I ordered from them. I don't remember exactly which one this is. I'm going to guess it's a Finch, but there could have been one that I purchased before I purchased that one, so I suppose we'll figure that out together. I was going to use the the Kizer Sheepdog XL as my unboxing knife because this thing just puts a stupid smile on my face. But because of some shenanigans and stuff like that happened earlier today, I'm going to be using a Vostede Raccoon in green micarta. Why? Because there's an impersonation White Mountain Knives account that contacted me earlier today and said, "Hey, you won this competition or whatever, and you're gonna win a Vostede Raccoon in green micarta. Send us all your information to this milkshake.White Mountain Knives just crap." Yeah, that annoyed me. The account for it was White Mountain Knife, where they didn't put the S on the end, so I reported them for impersonation. But there's a couple of them. There's one with like an underscore or a period at the front of it, or at the end, and yeah, it's annoying crap. But either way, I will use the knife that they were trying to fish me with. So let's go ahead and cut me some tape. This raccoon is pretty interesting. After the break-in period on this thing, it is amazingly smooth. But you do feel very, very far away from the blade when you're using it in your standard configuration. And you can easily choke up. That's great. But for that, I would really prefer to see a whole lot of extra jimping going on up there. But, oh well, that's just kind of my thoughts. I did just pre-order or straight up order the Valkyrie? The sheep's foot or Warncliffe. They call it a sax or a sax blade. Little button lock. So I should be getting that in just a little bit. But yeah, I guess this is the Finch that I was thinking of. This was a return. But this is a Chernobyl Ant, and then they call it parquet for the particular type of micarta that this thing used. Which was interesting because if I was going to get this knife, this was the one that I was going to get. Here we are, and this thing is frozen. I forgot to mention, I just picked this up from the mail right before I'm shooting this video, and it's 11 below 0 Fahrenheit outside. Real nice and cold. But, all right, yeah, this is the Finch. It's got that mottled kind of color. I do think I have a Civivi in that. Let's see. I shall take a look in my little drawer. Aha, yeah. I thought I did. The Appalachian Drifter has a very, very similar kind of thing going on there. Yeah. But go ahead and flip that guy open. And I don't remember exactly what they listed as the problem on this thing. I think it was a scratch somewhere on the blade. No, that was another one that I had just recently kind of got. This was a return. Well, I can't really seem to see much of what's going on. Maybe this was one that they said was off-center, which maybe just a little tiny bit towards the lock side. However, I feel just a little tiny bit of movement in there, so I should probably play around with the pivot just a little tiny bit. This one's in 14C28N. We got a fairly mirror polished kind of horizontal satin finish going on here. Got a nice titanium milled pocket clip, so that's pretty good. Decent amount of flex to it too, so it should go in and out of the pocket nice and easy. Of course, it's a liner lock. We do have that funky kind of thing that I'm not the hugest fan of, where to give you lock bar access, they extend the liner out rather than giving you a bit of a cutout in the handle. I kind of understand they wanted to keep this as a very cohesive kind of look to it, but yeah, I suppose it is what it is. Action's pretty nice and smooth. No real complaints going on there. Just a standard drop point. Not quite a full flat grind. As you can see, we do have just a little tiny bit of a flat that kind of ends over yonder. But yeah, I've been eyeballing some Finch knives for a little bit. So this one looked interesting and I picked it up. Let's see. Well, I do kind of have a flashlight. Let's see if we can't charge this thing up just a little bit. Works a heck of a lot better if you actually use a black light sort of thing. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, a little logo glows for a little bit. Not anything super crazy substantial, but it's something that the company is known for. Yeah, there is just a little bit of a side-to-side play on that, so the pivot's probably just a little tiny bit loose or something like that. Let's see. I can grab my little T8. Give it just a little bit of a turn there. Yeah, just a little bit wiggly still. You can definitely tell it's over-tightened at this point. Okay, well that's what the wiggly stuff is there. I have just a little tiny bit of up and down play, which is not what this thing was listed as a as the defect that this knife was returned for. Which, yeah, I can go ahead and attempt to fix that. Essentially, what I would end up doing is putting a little bit more pressure on this lock bar here, so it forces it over just a little bit more, and that will solve that little up and down problem there. But yeah, the lock up is going to be quite a bit later as an effect of that. But still, very effective little knife. I will have to do just a little tiny bit of work there. But hey, I did get this for a discounted price, so I can't complain a huge amount. What else do we got in the bag here? Oh, we got some Band-Aids. Hilarious. At least it's a it's a brand name one. Not a cloth back, but it's still pretty good. And we got a little warranty card here. Wow. It says something about warranty, but yeah, it really has nothing to do with how long that might be. There's Living the Finch there. And there's the sticker for this particular knife here. I have just recently, I think either yesterday or this morning, purchased another one of these. It's it's a more recent model, the Reciprocity, which is a really strange word. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, it also looked pretty interesting. That one's in 154 cm steel rather than the 14C28N like this guy here. Both of them pretty good steels, but if I have my option, I'm going to choose 154 cm. But yeah, that's about all I can really say about this guy here. It's got just a little bit of a up and down blade play that I'll have to kind of take care of a little bit, but otherwise everything seems to be on the up and up and a-okay. Yeah, the edge certainly looks like no one's really used it, so that's always good to see. That was not the case, if you remember from a previous opening on this Bestech Swift, that looks like someone decided that a copper pipe needed a lesson or two to be learned from it. And yeah, that took quite a bit to be able to sharpen it out. But alrighty, cool. So, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll catch you when I get some more knives here in the next couple of days. Well, just a super quick little update. Yeah, I took this thing apart. Cleaned it up and put my own little stuff on there. I got KPL ultralight for the bearings, and because this blade is fairly light, I ended up using, well, the label's completely worn off, but this is normal strength, the KPL. Usually I'll use heavy for the detents, but this blade is so much smaller that I figured it might hurt the action a little bit. But yeah, pulled it apart, just bent the lock bar over just a hair. And yeah, you can see the lockup is just a little bit further over, but absolutely rock solid. No blade play. Up, down, left, right, and nice action as well. Super small blade, so it's going to be a wiggle shot, and it's not going to be a drop shot, but still, just a little bit of a wrist action. There we go. So, happy with all that after all was said and done. Super quick. It took like, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes. I probably should have done it on video, but I didn't. And, well, I can't really go back and mess it up again to be able to show y'all, or at least I'm not willing to. So, yeah, I'll catch you when I got some more knives. Just wanted to throw that in there. Well, it's Christmas time in Hollis, Queens. Mama cooking turkey with the collard greens. All right, yeah, I got one more. It's Christmas Eve. It's not actually Christmas Day. Little unboxing knife? Sure, why not? The TwoSun TS159. Not a very practical knife, but sure, here we go. So I got one from White Mountain Knives, and I got something else. I don't think there's a knife in here, though. Let's go ahead and cut the tape off of this guy so I can open the top. And yeah, we got a Trivisa. Let's see, we also have, yeah, they have some, yeah, it's more of a saran wrap, a harder kind of crinkly plastic than some other stuff. So it requires a little bit more of a knife, I think, than some of the others do. Let's see. Yeah, we got a little slip cover here. That was a little interesting to me that the slip covers never actually match what the other box, the inner box actually looks like. I don't know if that's absolutely purposeful or if they maybe they're done from a different printer or something like that. I don't know. But, either way, hey. Yeah, what is this? The Aries? Yeah, this is the Aries 04G. And yeah, it's another sheepsy foot kind of thing going on here. Not quite as fancy as another one similar to it, an S35VN. This is 14C28N. Nice deep carry pocket clip. I can see inside here that we got some decent circles for weight relieving. We got some decent contouring going on here. A matching Micarta backspacer. Always like to see that rather than just a G10 piece there. Mostly just for aesthetics. Hey, I mean, technically the other G10 thing is probably just slightly more stable, but it's not in any appreciable way. So I do like the aesthetics to kind of stay consistent there, and it certainly does. We got this button. It is not inset whatsoever, so it does stick out a little bit. Action. Nice and swingy, so that's pretty good. This says, yeah, it definitely has a little bit of shipping grease on it. Yeah, nice DLC coating on there. And it's going to be a titanium nitride of some sort or something like that. We do have a little bit of a hole cut out there. It's a little bit close up, but yeah, you can reverse like that. Nice. And yeah, if you don't have large thumbs like me, then it will probably be a little bit easier to do a slow roll out there. I have to dig in give my thumb a little bit more of an angle up towards that to be able to get it open. But still, really liking this thing here. Plunge guide, you know, it's still pretty close there. It does have a little tiny bit of a sharpening choil. It'll probably develop just a little bit of a smile after a sharpen or two. Seems to be something that almost all companies seem to end up doing. Yeah. Maybe eventually they will learn and, you know, work a little bit more on the plunge grinds or whatever. But it is what it is. Yeah, this pocket clip is quite stiff. So that will hold it on rather snug. It's inset and flat screws. So that's pretty darn good all the way around. This thing is not exactly a small knife. I should have... I don't. I was going to say I should have my metal ruler around, but I suppose I do have my little calipalulus available here. And yeah, we got just under 3.5 inch. There, that's of course from that little bump, but that's basically right at the cutting edge. So yeah, just under 3.5 inches overall. I don't feel much in the way of a lock stick. Well, there is if I really forcefully open it up there. That's something that generally wears in relatively quick with a lot of button locks in my experience so far. The button pushing experience feels... You can definitely feel it. It's not the absolute smoothest thing in the known universe. Doing some kind of heavier lubrication oil or something like that will definitely help with that, though. So yeah, the ergonomics nice. It's fairly neutral there. We got a little bit of a what do you would call that? Just a raised platform kind of thing on the end. To me, that reminds me a lot of the Dylan Mallory one from CJRB. It's not the Feldspar. It's the other one, the Centros. The Centros has something a little bit more like that. And I do like that touch because if you are using a full hand for pressure, a lot of that downward pressure actually comes from that kind of pinky there. Just so to have that raised up a little bit, it just gives you a little something extra there. Blade does angle up ever so slightly, but still very, very much a sheep's foot blade there. The geometry seems to be pretty good on it. You can see we have a high saberish kind of grind going on there. Nice small jimping things there, but they are deep and sharp enough that does give you a lot of traction. So that's pretty darn cool. Yeah, it's a really good knife. I like that. All right. Turn that off so the batteries don't go out on it. And sure, let's go ahead and open up this Bros Gold thing here. And the first thing that we got, because it was basically free, I got another one of these ITHX little lights. I do wish that they were... I know they're getting rid of their old stock on those because in the recent past they've been given the upgraded versions that use USB-C charging. They still use micro USB, or yeah, micro B for them. So a little bit older, but they still work just as well. Okay, and then we got this guy here. Hey, it's an Arklight. It's the Winter 3 here. There's my little, we'll call it a knife or a cutting implement for lack of a better term here. So I'd been kind of eyeballing some Arkfelds for a while, and I thought they were maybe just a little bit more expensive than I wanted to spend money on. And then this kind of came out, and I was interested in that, so that's the one I went with here. A little foam insert here. Come on, y'all can get out, right? There we go. Okay. So, oh good, we do actually have the little charging base thingy for it. It was really thin, but it's because we have a flat cable for it. So that is a little bit different. I wouldn't mind if it actually had USB-C in there at some point, but no, it's got just their little magnifying thing. This still has a supposedly a magnetic sort of thing going on here too. I think that might have been. Yeah, it's got a bit of a magnet thing on there, so you can stick it against something metal if you want light kind of pointing out there. Kind of neat. We got a laser and a light. That's apparently what this little switch is here. This one, it's basically an integral titanium one. They also do one in copper that was the same price, or I think right around that same price. So yeah, let's go ahead and I don't know exactly how to operate everything about it. There is the green laser, which is, I suppose, it's kind of a neat feature a little bit there, but definitely not needed. It's got a pocket clip on it though. I do like that, and it's quite a bit more like a knife, kind of a pocket clip than what you would get with some of the others. However, something like the i5R with their loop around sort of thing, that can help out if you wear a build hat or something like that and want to clamp that on your person, which this is really not going to do unless you want to shine light directly at your forehead. Probably not the most useful thing there, but all right. It will remember supposedly what kind of setting that you had it on. I don't know necessarily how to change that setting. Oh, there we go. Double tap, and that gives you a lot. Yeah, that gives you what I think they consider to be 1,000 lumens there. Which, nice. It feels ridiculously well built. I mean, as far as structural integrity. I mean, of course, it probably would with the whole integral nature of it. So that's pretty cool. This one was, of course, a little bit more costly, but it was on sale. So I was eyeballing getting an Arkfeld for quite a while. And then, these more expensive versions ended up coming out for about the same price as the normal ones would be if they weren't on sale. What does make sense for this thing, but maybe wasn't exactly my first preference was I would have liked this to have the warm light rather than the neutral light or whatever. They have basically cold and warm temperature things for the LED lights in there. This one's the cold one, which is 5700 to 6700 K or Kelvin, which is a bit more of a cold light and stuff like that, which is fine unless you actually want to use this thing kind of at night, but not really wanting to expose yourself to as much blue light or something like that if you were, I don't know, trying to get some sleep or something like that. Like if you were at a campsite and you wanted to use this in the middle of the night to find a place to use a restroom and or create your own or whatnot, using this might make it just a little bit more difficult to get back to sleep than it would be with the warmer light one. But it's all right either way. It certainly does make sense, this having the winter motif of having it be all sorts of, cold light and stuff like that. Still, this thing can be kind of a useful sort of thing for charging, but it also means that if you do want to travel or something like this with this thing, you can't just use USB to charge this thing. Well, I mean, you can, but you have to use a USB-A and carry this thing specifically around rather than carrying USB micro B or USB-C or something like that. That would probably be a little bit more convenient. I do kind of understand a little bit of trying to keep this thing a little bit more water and dust resistant by doing a charging thing like this, where they can have that fitting be a lot more sealed up than they would have with a port on it. But I don't know. Yeah, does feel nice, and I do like the forward kind of fit there, where it fits decently in your hand. Rather than having something super round that I end up having to end up using a little bit of a pinch grip or something like that on. So, yeah, just pretty interesting. But that's basically all I got here for Christmas Eve was that guy, and surprised that the Trivisa came in. I do have another couple of knives coming in, probably in the near future. I think one or two from Blade HQ. I think one or two possibly from Knife Center. There's definitely one or two coming from White Mountain Knives, and there's other TwoSuns that are kind of floating on the way to me. So yeah, I do have some more stuff to get through. But alrighty, as always, appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hey, what's up, YouTube? We got some more knives here. I got a couple from White Mountain Knives. Hooray! Or wait, actually no, these aren't from White Mountain Knives. They're TwoSuns. But they did not come from White Mountain Knives this particular go around. And then I have something from Blade HQ, and I don't remember what this is because I've actually put in a couple of orders there recently. Unboxing knife. I don't know. I have this one at the ready since I was using it in a bit of a different context. But TwoSun TS182, the old school one in full carbon fiber and M390. Kind of soft M390, but M390 nonetheless. It's Petrified fish. And, I get a couple of stickers here, and aha. There we are. I ended up buying the little Desert Warrior Challenge coin just because, I kind of wanted it. Since I have quite a few, but not all of them anymore, because I'm not going to spend an exorbitant amount on a Micro Tech and a Pro Tech for those things in particular. But yeah, that was the little fridge magnet that came along free, and I guess that's another sticker they decided to throw in here. But yes, this is Petrified Fish, and this thing is fairly heavy. There we go. We got their sticker. That one's a little mangled. We got the microfiber cloth. This one still has, we got a pack of snacks in there. Good. Always glad to see the hardware. And, what is the name of this? Is this the Deep Sea? Pretty sure the PFP05. So, yeah, large knife. This has got K110 steel, I think. Yes, it do. Yeah, this is it's a bit of a trailing point. Certainly comes up past the that center pivot there. It does dip down ever so slightly, but enough that I'm not really gonna count it one way or the other. Action seems pretty decent, but it is a very heavy blade, so that's not incredibly difficult to pull off there. Still feels pretty darn sturdy. And we have two different forms of carbon fiber here, and these aren't laminate, so that's kind of nice. I do like the silver look. It is a bit more expensive to end up having that. Otherwise, I would have certainly preferred to have the whole handle in this particular material. Not a deep carry pocket clip on this guy. It's a little interesting, but does make that pocket clip a little bit more comfortable for me, so I appreciate that. Decent with the plunge grind there. Have a quite a bit that you can end up sharpening off. Appreciate that quite a bit. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. This one is also, it's not the absolute bottom of the barrel cheapness as far as Petrified Fish goes, but it's not using like S35 VN or anything super fancy. But I think it was, oh crap, I don't remember it all. Maybe somewhere in the 60s instead of the 40s or something like that a lot of their other knives end up being in. Still quite nice. You have a bit of a lock bar access. Might not look like a huge amount, but it is a decent notch there, and a very, very long scalloped out area of the liner. So pretty darn sweet. I don't know why I squeaked with my voice a little bit there. Apologies for that. But okay, let's see what else we got here. Oop. Let's see, do I go really heavy or fairly heavy? I'll go fairly heavy first. Okay, so this one has a really low number, if I remember right, somewhere in the 30s, but I do think this one is quite new, so they're just backfilling some numbers that they never initially ended up putting out. Yeah, NightMorning design, TS36, that's the one that this one is in particular. Titanium bolster lock going on here. Black canvas micarta with that nice polish, same as the, here we go, since I actually have it out here, the TS209 Sultan. Very, very similar, but of course different dye job going on there. Flipper tab curls down quite a bit. To me, not a huge fan of that because it makes it much easier for it to dig into my finger here. But of course, it does have that finger choil. It's, of course, a little small for me, but, you know, it's still a little bit larger than most. Action's pretty darn good on it. The blade to handle length, I guess, probably not absolutely great. You have at least a ½ inch or so back here, but of course, partially due to how that handle is done there. Pocket clip mounted basically on the inside. There's going to be a screw in there, looks like. Not interfaced with the micarta at all, so no problems with that. It's a fairly shallow clip going on there, so might be a little bit more difficult to get this into a pocket with some thicker materials. But still looked fairly interesting to me, so I wanted to pick it up. Of course, with that flipper tab kind of thing curling there makes it very, very easy to end up doing the deployment there. Pretty darn hard to fail the detent on that. But you are not over the detent ramp by the time that actually interfaces with your thumb there. So that makes it a little bit more difficult to end up closing this darn thing than you might want otherwise. So, I don't know, a little bit of a downer in that particular case. Not a deal breaker, but, you know, just something to keep in mind with it. Handle overall, pretty decent. I don't know why, but the design language on this particular thing does kind of remind me of some petrified fish kind of things. Maybe like the Terra, or the other one with the kind of speary kind of blade that I don't remember off the top of my head. The Warrior, maybe? Something like that. But, yeah, not a bad knife, but a couple of things that definitely make me want to think twice about carrying it, unless this was one of the only knives, in which case you'll end up getting used to a lot of that real quick. It's really nice and flattened off there with the micarta and the titanium there. Very, very well machined. I don't really have anything sticking up or out or anything like that. Nor do I really have errant fibers. So, yeah, super, super cool. All right, here we go. Here's another one. Oh, this is a Tepe design. This is a new button lock. Where did I put that? Here we are. It's, yeah, it's got some packing schmutz on it, which is probably a good thing. Yeah, there we go. When He did first announce this blade on some Facebook groups and things like that. It was supposed to be an M390. Well, it ended up being in D2. There was some sort of miscommunication between them and him. Unfortunately, this one looks like I got number 13. So that's interesting. This has their very, very deep satin finish on the hollow grind that we got going on here, which is quite a bit. Like, here we go. The really, really deep satin finish that we got on this one. This is the TS344 that unfortunately has some manufacturing problems just in the model overall, not just my particular sample. Everyone kind of has that same problem. This one doesn't have that texture there, though. So we end up with better action overall. This is, of course, titanium, but has that coating on the blade there. They also do this in the lightning strike anode things if you like something a little bit more flashier but a lot more slippery. I do like that blade shape quite a bit, though. It mostly looks like a Tonto of some sort. Not quite Japanese, definitely not quite American, but kind of a mixture of both of them. And it's not a compound grind on the tip there, which for EDC tasks, I prefer. I don't really like having an enormously thick tip there because I'm not doing a whole bunch of pokey business with a lot of my knives. So I do appreciate that, but of course your mileage and preference might vary on that. Really nice plunge grind way away from the blade, so that's pretty darn good. Looks like it still had some grease on there. I thought they were a whole bunch of scratches just on the shoulder of the blade there, but nope. This one does, of course, have the call out, the call out pivot collar. So if that's not your thing, well, you can go ahead and just dismiss this little guy here. We got a crown spine. This is really, really thick blade stock. It's got to be 4 millimeters overall. But, of course, this one does also do a hollow grind. And this is a little bit thinner behind the edge on their hollow grind than quite a few others. Nice and comfortable. Really fits in there. Pretty darn good with the nice curve there if you do like doing a pinch grip. And this really, really fills my hand. As you heard there, there was just a little tiny bit of button lock stick if you... Nope. Yeah, it kind of comes and goes just a little tiny bit, but that also makes me think that this thing will easily break in and won't really have that problem. I kind of had the same thing happen on the Trivisa knife that I got with a button lock on it just recently. Can't quite remember the name of it. I think it's the Aries. It's, one of those gods. Because the Gemini was the slip joint. Yeah, so it was the Aries. But yeah, it already ended up working itself out. So, pretty interesting design overall. I kind of probably would have preferred having this in M390 like it was originally intended for. And I don't know. Yeah, it always depends. If a knife does a very, very well or sells really, really well, then they do end up reissuing them with better blade steel and stuff like that down the line. But, in the meantime, I can enjoy that. The thumb opening there for flicking it, maybe not the most comfortable just due to how that ends up wedging rather than having a rounded off area. But really, really easy to reverse flick and slow roll. Absolutely works. And of course, just using centrifugal force also works pretty darn good. Really, really thick handles, heavily... not skeletonized, they're not all the way through, but a heck of a lot of weight relieving on the inside, which is great, because otherwise this thing would easily weigh like 6 or 7 ounces. So But yeah, pretty sweet overall. The pocket clip seems to be all right. Kind of mounted there on the end. So yeah, there we go. This one is yeah, it's pretty close to 9 inches overall, which is pretty darn large. That one's about 8. That seems to be average for most TwoSuns here. And sure, why not? Yeah, the deep sea is closer to that one in size. What is the number on this? 210? Yes, 210. Alrighty, so yeah, I will play around with that a little bit and see if I can't work out the little tiny bit of a lock stick that ends up being in there. Yeah. Alrighty, well, that's basically all I needed for this one. So, yeah, as always, appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.